श्री श्री प्रहलाद नृसिंहदेव भगवान की जय। श्री श्री जगन्नाथ बलदेव सुभद्रा सुदर्शन चक्र की जय। श्री श्री गौर निताय की जय। श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।
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 ओम ज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। मुखाकरोति वाचालं पङ्गोरं गायते गिरिं यत्कृपातमहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुदिनतारिणं परमानन्दमाधवं श्रीचैतन्य ईश्वरं। नमः ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते जयपताकस्वामिनिति नामिने। नमः आचार्यपादाय निताय कृपप्रदायिने गौरकथादामदाय नगरग्रामतारिणे। नमः ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यादेशतारिणे। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय। We are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 6, Text 20. If you have your phones, you can also repeat after me. Padastrayo bahishchasan aprajanamya ashramaha Antastrilokyastva aparo Grahamedo brihadvrataha Padastrayo bahishchasan Aparajanam ya aprajanamya ashramaha Antastrilokyastva paro Grahamedho brihadvrataha Padastrayo bahishchasan Aprajanamya ashramaha Antastrilokyastva paro Grahamedho brihadvrataha. Translation. Oh yeah, go ahead.
Padastrayo bahishchasan Aprajanamya
ashramaha
Antastrilokyastva paro
Grahamedho brihadvrataha.
Padastrayo bahishchasan Aprajanamya ashramaha Antastrilokyastva paro Grahamedho brihadvrataha.
Padastrayo bahishchasan Aprajanamya ashramaha Antastrilokyastva paro Grahamedho brihadvrataha.
Word by word translation, if you like to repeat. Padahatrayaha, the cosmos of 3/4 of the Lord's energy.
the cosmos of the three-fourths of the world's energy.
Bahihi,
Bahihi,
thus situated beyond.
thus situated beyond.
Cha,
Cha,
and for all.
and
and
for all.
Asan,
Asam,
where?
where?
Aprajanam,
Aprajanam,
of those
Those
who are not meant for rebirth.
who are not meant for rebirth.
Ye,
Yea,
those.
those.
Ashramaha,
Ashramaha,
status of life.
Status of life.
Antaha,
Antara,
within.
within.
Trilokyaha,
Trilokya,
of the three worlds.
of the three worlds.
Two,
Two,
but. Aparaha,
Aparaha,
others.
others.
Griha medaha,
Grihamedaha,
attached to family life.
attached to family life.
Abrihat brataha,
Apraha,
without strictly following a vow of celibacy.
without strictly following a vow of celibacy.
Translation. The spiritual world, which consists of 3/4 of the Lord's energy, is situated beyond this material world, and it is especially meant for those who will never be reborn. Others who are attached to family life and do not strictly follow celibacy vows must live within the 3 material worlds. Purport by His Divine Grace, E.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki.
Jai.
The climax of the system of Varnashram Dharma or Sanatan Dharma is clearly expressed here in this particular verse of Srimad Bhagavatam. The highest benefit that can be awarded to human being is to train him to be detached from sex life, particularly because it is only due to sex indulgence that the conditioned life of material existence continues birth after birth. Human civilization in which there is no control of sex life is the 4th-class civilization, because in such an atmosphere there is no liberation of the soul encaged in the material body. Birth, death, old age, and disease are related to the material body, and they have nothing to do with the spirit soul. But as long as bodily attachment for sensual enjoyment is encouraged, the individual spirit soul is forced to continue the repetition of birth and death on account of the material body, which is compared to garments subjected to the law of deterioration. In order to award the highest benefit of human life, the Varnashram Dharma system trains the follower to adopt the vow of celibacy, beginning from the order of Brahmachari. The Brahmachari life is for students who are educated to follow strictly the vow of celibacy. Youngsters who have had no taste of sex life can easily follow the vow of celibacy, and once fixed in the principle of such a life, one can very easily continue to the highest perfectional stage, attaining the kingdom of the three-fourths energy of the Lord. It is already explained that in the cosmos of 3/4 energy of the Lord, there is neither death nor fear, and one is full of blissful life of happiness and knowledge. A householder attached to family life can easily give up such a life of sex indulgence if one has been trained in the principles of the life of Brahmachari. A householder is recommended to quit home at the end of 50 years. Panchashordvam vanam vrajet, and live a life in the forest. Then, being fully detached from family affection, he may accept the order of renunciation as a sannyasi, fully engaged in the service of the Lord. Any form of religious principles in which the followers are trained to pursue the vow of celibacy is good for the human being, because only those who are trained in that way can end the miserable life of material existence. The principles of nirvana, as recommended by Lord Buddha, are also meant for ending the miserable life of material existence. And this process in the highest degree is recommended here in the Srimad Bhagavatam, with a clear perception of ideal perfection, although basically there is no difference between the process of Buddhists, Shankarites and Vaishnavites. For promotion to the highest status of perfection, namely freedom from birth and death, anxiety and fearfulness, not one of these processes allows the follower to break the vow of celibacy. The householders and persons who have deliberately broken the vow of celibacy cannot enter into the kingdom of deathlessness. The pious householders or the fallen yogis or the fallen transcendentalists can be promoted to the higher planets within the material world, 1/4 of the energy of the Lord. But they will fail to enter into the kingdom of deathlessness. Abrahat Vratas are those who have broken the vow of celibacy. The Vanaprasthas, or those retired from family life, and the Sannyasis, or the renounced persons, cannot break the vow of celibacy if they want success in the process. The Brahmacharis, Vanaprasthas, and Sannyasis do not intend to take rebirth, apraja, nor are they meant for secretly indulging in sex life. Such a fall down by the spiritualist may be compensated by another chance for human life in good families of learned brahmanas or of rich merchants for another term of elevation. But the best thing is to attain the highest perfection of deathlessness as soon as the human form of life is attained. Otherwise, the whole policy of human life will prove to be a total failure. Lord Chaitanya was very strict in advising his followers in this matter of celibacy. One of his personal attendants, Chota Haridas, was severely punished by Lord Chaitanya because of his failure to observe the vow of celibacy. For a transcendentalist, therefore, who at all wants to be promoted to the kingdom beyond material miseries, it is worse than suicide to deliberately indulge in sex life, especially in the renounced order of life. Sex life in the renounced order of life is the most perverted form of religious life. And such a misguided person can only be saved if, by chance, he meets a pure devotee. Translation, if you like to repeat one more time. The spiritual world, which consists of 3/4 of the Lord's energy, is situated beyond this material world. And it is especially meant for those who will never be reborn. Others who are attached to family life and who do not strictly follow celibacy vows must live within the 3 material worlds. Jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. The Bhagavatam framework is speaking of bondage is not only sexual. Why? Why is the scope bigger than just sex? Because we see in Srimad Bhagavatam the great kings, the great devotees, they also got married. They expanded their lineage. They had multiple lineage of dynasties. So it's not that the act of conceiving children, which is the sacred form use of sex, it's not condemned. That's not what we're speaking. But we understand that this principle, this verse, Brihad Vrataha, can be applied in Tamas Guna, Rajas Guna, and Sattva Guna. So in Tamas Guna, we may condemn everything, feel depressed, just try to avoid the act of sex and remain in a very stuck modality of life. And in Rajas Guna, we may not care about any such rules, and we may just apply this in a very unscientific way, which, sorry to say, but we have done that in our movement, and many other religious groups have tried to apply this principle in a Rajas Guna manner, means in the mode of passion. Passion is to preach completely against this. Sex life is so bad and dangerous. Everybody become brahmacharis. Everybody shave up. Everybody move to temple. Everything else is nonsense. We tried that, but we know the result, right? It wasn't a success. We had what exactly this purport Prabhupada is warning. He says, sex life in the renounced order of life is the most perverted form of religious life, and such a misguided person. So Prabhupada is giving us the verdict that if we try to artificially apply certain high levels of principles in wherever we are at level, then it's going to be a disaster. And we've had, unfortunately, even people in the renounced order fall down. So we don't only speak about Shaubari Muni or Ajamil, who were very austere, performed tapasya, austerity, but they still fell down. we actually have examples in front of our eyes within our organization also. So sometimes the neophyte understanding might not be how to use this principle wisely to uplift myself in a consistent, practical, and also sustainable way. We may suppress sense gratification by all means and stay depressed, like I said in the tamas guna, or preach against it, or we use our intelligence to go deeper, psychologically understand this principle from a Vedic psychology perspective. See, even in today's world, if you go to corporate companies or you attend some motivational workshops, they're very much trying to tap into this principle. If you even take sportsmen, if you get into any sport, they very much recommend that you stay celibate. You use that energy to transmute that energy, to transform that energy to be the best sportsman. And if you go to these motivational workshops, they speak about controlling the prefrontal cortex. I forget the word exactly. Cortex. Thank you. And how you can do that by transmuting that sexual energy. How you can transmute that sensual energy. So we may not be getting it right as a religious organization. So it may take a little bit of humility to look at this fall of Shaubari, or the fall of Shaubari Muni. He was just he was crawling through the fish's experience, romantic moment. Two fish were mating, and boom, all thousands of years of tapasya, finished. Or Ajamil, he was born in a Brahmin family, was trained in Brahminical culture. He was a brahmachari, was a good brahmachari. But still, because of bad association, he just watched a woman and a man being engaged in romantic affairs, and boom, he also had a fall. So now, let's take an example of Bharat Maharaj, right? Bharat Maharaj also fell down to animal life, and that was nothing to do with sex. But still, the principle is the same here. Not using the life force, not using that ojas, the tejas, right? Ojas is that life air, and tejas is that brilliance, the aura. Everybody has a specific aura, and how we use that aura determines our next birth, or next year, or the next 10 years, the future, essentially. So the word itself, okay, we'll take a look at the word, Brihat Rataha. So the Brihat means vast. So it's vast. It's not just about one single, it's not like no sex rule and that's it. No, it's vast. It's great. It's Brihat. And that vow, that Brihat vow, it conserves and rechannels all that ojas and the tejas, all that life air, all that energy. And Shukadeva Goswami, when he speaks about how the nights are slipping away, the days are passing, if we actually calculate, following Prahlad Maharaj's instruction, if we look at our day, how many hours a day do we sleep? It may vary, some of us 6 hours, some of us 7 hours, some of us 8 hours. How many hours in the day do you transport yourself from one place to another? How many hours a day does it go for eating? Shopping. So if we actually calculate, we did that exercise when we were doing Bhaktivedanta studies, when we calculated, it's actually very, very limited amount of hours that I actually have to uplift myself. And all that energy is just going for eating, mating, sleeping, and defending. And Prabhupada, when he speaks about miserable life existence, we may think it's not that miserable. Oh, it's okay. I think it's manageable. I can manage. But if you look at examples of people, the whole system is wrong. The whole system. The other day I was hearing a class which spoke about why does the government promote smoking? I mean, I am very, very shocked to see how many Germans smoke. So many, it's just crazy. Why? Why does the government allow that? Well, because it's beneficial for them. People die early, so they don't have to take care of old people. So there's a benefit. For every cigarette pack they sell, the government makes €7 from it. So there is a very twisted kind of thinking. It's not Rama Rajya we're talking about here. So there is no security. We're not speaking of Lord Ram or Prithu Maharaj as the kings. We're talking about, there is like, you scratch my back, I scratch your back. We will provide support for old people, but also we will promote smoking and alcohol. And so this is the world we are living in. This is the reality of this material world. And so when we're speaking about Bhagavatam's perspective, where is my senses absorbed? Padau hare kshetra padana sarpane shiro rishikesha padabhibandhane. Is it engaged? Is my head, literally, am I putting my head down in front of the deities and offering obeisances? Is my head filled with thoughts of Jagannath Ji, Baladev? We celebrated his appearance day yesterday. Are we meditating? Or is my head only filled with whatever nonsensical goals that we're chasing, just like the donkey is chasing the carrot which is hanging in front of it, without realizing that I'll never reach that carrot? So here the whole pattern of indulgence needs to be looked at psychologically. So it's not just a single act. Indriya hriyate naktam vyavayena cha. So Srimad Bhagavatam earlier in a few chapters ago, it quotes that it's the whole pattern, is the indriya, is the senses, is the essence of how is that verse, I think it's 5th canto, right? Yan maitunadi grihamedi sukham hi tucham. So that sex is just like an emblem, it's like a symbol. It's like one thing that represents so many things. So it's only like the outlet, the sexual thing is one particular outlet. If it's not that, it's rerouted into so many things. I'll give you an example. It's like one engine and many exhaust pipes. So the same dopamine loop that we are running, just like that donkey with the carrot, it's fueling lust for our bodies. Every time we're looking at a publicity ad, every time we are looking at our professional goals, or every time I'm looking at my YouTube channel, looking how many views have I got. Every time I'm going shopping in a mall or a grocery store, sugar, or every time I'm talking with people, the gossip, or the buying sprees, or different power games of me, I am better than the other people. All these things are included in that Brihat Vrataha. All these things. So it's not just that one little cork, that outlet is the sexual. It's just one emblem, one symbol. At the same time, Bhagavatam does not promote suppression. It does not. Because if we only suppress sex, then the energy will leak somewhere else. It will pop up as irritability in relationships, maybe binge watching, scrolling, or maybe feeling pride. All these things are leakage of that Brihavrataha, the opposite of Brihavrataha. We are losing that life there. So how can I pour my energy into japa, into studying Srimad Bhagavatam, into teaching Bhagavatam, into service, into building a community and building relationships that are beneficial? How can I do it in a world filled with distractions? We were having a very nice conversation this morning and yesterday while driving to our place and back about the way the society is kind of tuned. Go to sleep late, wake up late. So basically the body doesn't actually get enough rest that the brain requires. And then we try to catch up. So it's like when we lose those morning hours, we're looking for it the rest of the day. So every of this Brihavrata we need to do. Stop scrolling? No, but there is a free Wi-Fi. You can scroll, you don't have to pay for it. Shopping, if we say I'm not going to eat sugar, but it's so hard given the possibility. How many of you are sugar-free diet here? How many of you like to be for sugar-free diet? Yeah. No. Yeah. So I want to introduce you to this. I studied psychology. So in one of the tools we use, it's called IFS. It's internal family systems. So there are different parts within our own brain. And one of this part is called the firefighter. Firefighters when do the firefighter come out? When there's fire, right? When there's fire, they come out to put off the fire. So the fire represents the opposite of Brihavrata. When we feel the urge to binge watch, when we feel the urge to binge eat, those are the firefighters essentially. Or for some people, it's sex life, abusing sexual energy, misusing sexual energy. That's also a firefighter. Why is this a firefighter? Because we may think, oh, these are bad habits, these are very bad for me. But if you actually listen to that firefighter in you, it'll tell you all aspects of your life which is imbalanced, and how that firefighter is trying to only put off the fire. It's trying to keep you safe. Maybe you're bored to death with your school teachers. I'm just giving an example. And your brain needs to fight that fire, and you binge watch. Because the boredom is the essential problem there, and we don't know what to do. We take shelter of the firefighter. It's a subconscious pattern that works in the brain. So we take shelter of the firefighter. Similarly, most of the habits that we're trying to get rid of, binge eating, it's another thing. Because there's an emotional, psychological lack of feeling nourishment, people binge eat. So even that part, which is the firefighting part, is trying to protect us from going berserk, being bored with your school studies maybe, or with life essentially not feeling nourished. And what to speak of relationships? Some people are codependents. They keep jumping relationship after relationship, trying to find Santam samipe ramanam rati pradam vita pradam nityam imam vihaya akamadam dukkha bayadi shoka moha pradam tuchhamaham bhajena. These are the words of Srimad Bhagavatam. Pingala, she's saying that Santam samipe ramanam rati pradam. Krishna is so present close to me, yet I am looking for substitutes to make me feel loved, to make me feel accepted. Substitutes. And what are those substitutes giving me in return? It's only giving me misery and sadness and pain. Why? Because we cannot expect that other people will make me feel loved and secure if I don't have it within me. Right? How much ever we expect our partners, our children, our friends to make us feel loved. If I don't have that, at least 50%, I would say. 50% if we don't have that sense of self-worth and connection, it's very difficult to find it with another person. So Pingala here is saying, I was so foolish to think that the substitutes will give me pleasure. Actually, my Lord was waiting to fill that gap for me. So the point is this: by shaming ourselves, by blaming ourselves, by blaming our circumstances, we cannot use our energy wisely, because that's also a leakage of energy. How do we transmute that energy? How do we pour that in the right way? And I mean, we know that in theory, we're supposed to do more devotional service, right? We need to associate more with devotees. We need to, not listen to the firefighter. Don't let that outlet there. But let's see what the Shastra says. There are 4 layers. The vow at 4 levels: Kayika, Vachika, Kirtana, Manasika, and Atmika. Kayika is the discipline that we can do with this body. Simplifying food. What we eat is what our body becomes. And then how do we use that body to move? It's proven even scientifically that if your mind is agitated, you just get up and say Hari Bol and you jump. You can say Hare Krishna also. You can say Jai Jagannath also. Then immediately, like a curfew situation inside the brain, those firefighters feel a relief. They don't have to look for binge watching or binge scrolling. And Vachika. Vachika is the speech, austerity of speech that Bhagavad Gita Krishna speaks about. This is especially for people, let's say, the Western countries, relationships, flirting, all these things are a little bit easier. Jai Shri Shri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Sudarshan Chakra ki Jai. Shri Shri Gaur Nitai ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Gaura Bhakta Vrinda ki Jai. Okay, where were we? Vachika. So, for some of us, controlling speech might be speaking less. For some of us, control of speech may be speaking more. It depends on our personality. It depends on how are we wired, what is our nature. Because sometimes we are suppressing our speech and not expressing, and that also can get us in trouble. And that suppression of speech, because that also is coming under Brihat, broader picture. So you have to look at it honestly and see, is austerity of speech speaking up for me or shutting up? Which one? And using that vachika, using that speech for glorifying the Lord, for positively, not irritating other people. That depends on what could be our kind of communication. Then manasika, mind. Manasika is the most difficult because everything you see, all the samskaras, all the vasanas are ingrained. It's like memory drive inside the brain. Every scroll, 1 second of scroll, remember Shaubari, 1 second he saw the fish and boom. So similarly, what you watch is extremely important because that's the food for the brain, for your consciousness. So when I am watching something, I may not think about it anything then, but it becomes an impression, it becomes a samskara. And that samskara will develop into imagination. And that imagination can draw us, distract us into paths that we may not like to go on. And we become drawn to it just like an animal being dragged, like a dog that's being dragged by the rope to the neck. And then fantasy creates a lot of people. In my professional life, I saw that like 70% of the people who experience, say, depression or experience stress, both two extremes, right? Rajas guna and tamas guna. Tamas guna is depression. Rajas guna is stress. These people experience fantasies. They have fantasies about themselves, about their relationships. So that whenever there's fantasy, it means that there is suppression of energies there. Daydreams. And then tamas guna means in ignorance, people feel envy, people feel hatred, and then we always feeling competitive, we never feel good enough. That is also not sattva guna. That is also not a path to overcome these weaknesses. And then how do we deal with this? Manasika, how? Because Krishna consciousness is so amazing. That's why I chose Krishna consciousness. There's so many leelas and pastimes of Jagannath, of Krishna, of Rama. There's so many leelas, with so many lessons. So the way to engage the mind is by meditating on the pastimes of the Lord. By meditating on the pastimes of the Lord, the engagement of manasika, the mind needs that fuel of imagination. So the imagination needs to be not with scrolling, but by reading Mahabharata, reading Bhagavad Gita, reading Srimad Bhagavatam. Then it gives me a sort of samskara, a sort of vasana that is inclined towards that. That's what the Shastras recommend. And when we say, no, but it's very difficult, it's not possible for me, it's not practical for me, the truth is I often tell myself that if Shastra says you should not do this, you should do this, it means it's possible. Otherwise Shastra would never say that. So it's just my own mind trapping me into saying this is not possible. The Shastra says that it is possible. Then we have the Atmika, the identity. We can't control our senses and our mind and our sensual energies without having the proper sense of identity. Again, on a theoretical level, we know Chaitanya Radas Samui, Chaitanya Radas, Chaitanya Radas Samui, Radas Radas. I am the servant of Lord Chaitanya. And I am the servant of Lord Chaitanya. Yeah, it sounds very nice, poetic in theory, right? But what does it actually mean? What does it mean, Krishna Nityadas? What does it mean to be an eternal servant of God? How do I understand that? Because there is an all or nothing mentality. One day I wake up and say, I'm Krishna's servant, I'm Lord Chaitanya's servant. No more scrolling, done, everything. No, close. Especially if you have an iPhone, you can even put your timers and give a password to somebody else and you can't scroll anymore. You can do those kind of setups to stop yourself from binge watching. You can try that. And then you say, no more sugar, no more junk food. What happens when you do that? Anybody has experience doing that? No more. Okay, how many of us succeeded in that? Why? Why is it not sustainable? Did you start it yesterday? Because the mind, the firefighters will just be hiding. As soon as there's the next fire, they come out. Maybe we come out in a few days, maybe a few months, maybe a few years. Please share with us your tips how to do that. So the point is this: all or nothing kind of vows do not work. They're not sustainable. And so we have to be intelligent to have a staircase goals. One step at a time. Not like all or nothing. Because I've been through the experience of all or nothing. Either I do everything or I do nothing. It's too stressful because again, something you took 10 years to develop, scrolling habit and putting all kinds of junk food, mental food inside, it's not easy to just get rid of it in 10 days. Am I right? It's not possible to do that. It's not realistic. So don't blame yourself. Don't beat yourself up saying, oh, I am such a bad devotee, I am such a bad sadhaka. It's not realistic to expect that. So you have to do some techniques, like actually Ekadashi is one of the techniques. Every person who does Ekadashi, this is a research I did as well. I'm from South India and there's like a big culture of Ekadashi, don't eat anything on Ekadashi. And these people are much healthier in general. They just develop. And these people have better mental control, mental stability. So somehow or other, Ekadashi, it seems to be the day, even astrologically speaking, the specific day of the moon cycle of Ekadashi, when you fast, and not just fast and binge watch, saying, because I know that side as well, somehow just watch something. No, fasting physical body, and also fasting from mental food, and just engaging in chanting the holy names or the leelas or kirtan. It's actually very effective. It's one of the fastest, I would say, remedies to controlling the mind and bringing it to stability. And the second trap is I'll do it alone. I'll do all by myself. This is another risk. Prabhupada actually speaks here about, it's not that secretly, publicly I announce that I'm celibate and then secretly indulging in sex life. No, that's not recommended. So it's very important to have this accountability. See, spirituality is inherently vulnerable. When I come and say, raise my hand, or when I pay obeisances, for Indians we get used to paying obeisances. We don't think it's a big deal. But for Western people to come and put their head down, bow down before somebody, wait a minute, who am I putting my head down and bowing down to? It's a symbolic representation of vulnerability. Admitting that I don't have my life under control. I can't do this alone. I need someone superior. Maybe Indians, we kind of do it on a autopilot mode. We come to the temple and we put our head down, we're not thinking so much. But when you actually speak with people who come from a different culture, they say, whoa, wearing bed sheets, going around a plant and putting your head down, this is crazy. Because what is that craziness? That craziness is admitting vulnerability. We see here in the picture, Arjuna is completely vulnerable. Kimno Radha Govinda, Kim Bhogar Jivitena Va. He's ready to give up everything. He's like, I don't want a kingdom, I don't want to win this war. My Gandiva is slipping from my hands. My mouth is drying up, Krishna. This is the warrior who defeated even the Gandharvas and the demigods. And that kind of a warrior is feeling weak on that battlefield. It's not physical weakness. He has Gandiva, which can defeat an entire universe. He doesn't have lack of technology. He doesn't have lack of resources. It's the weakness of the mind. It's the weakness where he is emotionally not connected to his purpose. He doesn't know why he has to fight. Similarly, if our identity is not in the right place, then the experience of vulnerability can help us. It depends. If we come to the right temple, take shelter of the right sangha, the same vulnerability will raise us, uplift us. But the moment I say, I can do it on my own, I'll control all my bad habits in overnight. Overnight, I'm going to fix myself. Good luck. Because isolation, it increases craving. Next is, let's see, what is the next point? Prabhupada is saying, otherwise the whole policy of human life will prove to be a total failure. We cannot blindly depend on the world's rules and regulations. Then it will really put us in a wrong place. There are some. Okay, let's see. I'll pause here. Anybody has any questions about this Brihat Vrata, or any tips for the audience to overcome?
Well, I think you just touched upon them. You if you're trying to stop something, you need, because as you said, it's hard. Our minds are wired to consume. So you need sattva.
Alternative.
You need some alternative that doesn't rebound.
Correct. Correct. That's a good word. Yeah. So let's see how Bhagavatam teaches us that. So Ajamil, it showed us the full chain of unguarded habits. He kept scrolling and he fell into a trap. Thought, attachment, and action. Then it became a habit, and then he didn't end up in a good place. So the lesson is Jai Shri Shri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Sudarshan Chakra ki Jai, Shri Shri Gaurnitai ki Jai, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. See, sensual weakness is not just like 1 second to the other. It's a very slow slipping thing. It depends on so many habits. It depends on our lifestyle. And it depends on what we consume mentally, what we consume physically, who we associate with, what are our life goals. It depends on so many factors. It's again Brihat, it's a broader Ratha. In Srimad Bhagavatam 11th canto, there's the Avadutas. So among those Avadutas, there are 3. One is bee, the python, and the ocean. From all these 3 examples, we actually see that restraint, contentment, and the attention. All those 3 factors, it shows that it's again not just about sexuality. It's not just about that. Even brahmachari guidance, when we speak about brahmacharya, it's not just about don't do this, don't do this, don't do this. There are also so many do this. Nourish yourself, study, jump in kirtan, be happy, be humble. Once when Srila Prabhupada was standing and praying in front of the deities, and one of the disciples asked Prabhupada, "What are you praying, Srila Prabhupada?" And Prabhupada said, "I'm praying to Krishna that may I never fall down." And the disciple laughed and said, "Prabhupada, how could you ever fall down?" Prabhupada said, "Yeah, I won't fall down because I pray like this. But because you may not be too much afraid of Maya, you could fall down." So the idea is not to depend on dry renunciation, not to depend on my strength, but to always know that anything can happen. Pride goes before the fall, and to stay humble. Okay, let's see. Practical check. When I read this purport today, I was thinking of a program that we do. It's called Inner Blockbusters program. To identify those inner leaks of energy, the ojas, the tejas, where is my energy being lost? So, first question is, you can pick up a few of these. Okay. Where do I leak energy most? Is it body? Is it speech? Or is it mind? Because body was like the habits, right? What you eat, what you do, how you physically engage. Speech is, am I speaking too little? Am I speaking too much? Where is my mind absorbed in fantasy, in distraction? Which of this? Body, mind, speech. Where is my energy leaking? Mind. Okay, I mean, it may be different for different people. You don't have to publicly admit it. You can do it individually. Second is, which 2 habits can I remove this week? It's a staircase thing. What 2 habits? And because we are in this energy, everything is energy. We're sitting in this room, everybody's focusing on this verse of Srimad Bhagavatam. We want to channel our energies, so there's power here. So think in your mind, what are 2 things that you'd like to work on this week? What are 2 habits? It's something it's easy to do. Maybe if I'm scrolling 1 hour, I can do it 30 minutes. Just giving you an example. Then the third question is, who is my accountability partner? Because we don't want to do it alone. Later after the class, maybe during Prashad, you can find somebody in the room, maybe. Who can be your accountability partner? It really helps, really helps. We have like a Sangha online that we call each other, just to kind of, hey, would you need any help? Like some of us had trouble with chanting early in the morning. So we would call each other at that time. Keep the phone on and chant. Just, accountability. I want to wake up early, so we be accountable to each other. So it's like an easy way to overcome that. And the big one, what single seva will I pour this reclaimed energy into? Like we said, we cannot just stop the energy and just press. The pressure cooker will burst at some point. You need to take that energy and channel it. So think of one service that you could do. Maybe book distribution, that's the best one. Somewhere where that energy is going to replenish you. It's going to bring you back more energy instead of it being wasted. Okay, think of it. And then, this point, right? This point about Varavatiya Gopi Chandana Dinda Shri Ramanana Divya Namava Nenederadaru Urtva Pundrangala Dharisida Vira Vaishnava Guruva Vira Vaishnava Guruva. These are the principles to guard our body and mind. The Gopi Chandan, if you apply tilak to the 12 bodily parts, every part has a special significance in the chakras. You can guard that part by wearing Om Keshavaya Namaha, Om Narayana Namaha, Om Madhavaya Namaha, Om Govindaya Namaha, Om Vishnave Namaha, Om Madhusudanaya Namaha, Om Trivikramaya Namaha, Om Vamanaya Namaha, Om Sridharaya Namaha, Om Rishikeshaya Namaha, Om Damodaraya Namaha. Did I miss one? Padmanabhaya Namaha, Om Damodaraya Namaha. So, thank you. So those are the 12, and there are different body parts. You can Google it, Tilak mantras, super powerful. If you don't have Gopi Chandan, you can just use water and mentally, because mental energy is very powerful. Even mentally, you take that, you put it, your body is protected, your aura is protected from the energetic vibrations. Of course, depends on what kind of energetic vibrations you expose yourself to, but to a great extent. The Vaishnava Bhajan says that it can protect us from the choices that we make. It can protect our mind. Hari nirmalya vashiradhali dharisu Shri Hari naivedyava bhunjisu tiru nitya irulu hagalu Hari smaranaya bidadiru durulara kudadiru neenu durulara kudadiru. Another principle is always eat prasadam. Do not eat sins. Basically, every grain that is being produced, insects are being killed, people have been tortured in some way, tortured in the sense like exploited, thank you. Some people may be exploited. So every bag of grains that we consume has karma attached to it. So when we are only eating it without offering to the Lord, we are accumulating all that karma, we're taking on ourselves. And then Hari Nirmalyava Shiradali Dharisu. Always make sure to have like a tulasi or a flower of the Lord on your body somewhere. And then Hari Nirmalyava Shiradali Dharisu Shri Hari Naivedyava Bhunjisu. And in the morning when we wake up, some of our Indians, we wake up, Karagre Vasate Lakshmi, Karamatye Saraswati, Karamule Govinda, Prabhate Karadarshanam. We do that, right? How many of you know that verse? Okay, very good. So that's like to set the intention for the day. To set the intention that I want to learn something today. I want to be a prosperous person. And I want to be engaged in service of Govinda. So that sets the tone for the rest of the day. And then also when we end the day, we ask the Lord, thank you, my dear Lord, for allowing me to do what I was able to do. And then I offer whatever the good I did. So give me the strength to do your will. So eyes, we engage in watching the pictures of the Lord, you can watch darshans on your phone. Visual triggers are very powerful, both positively and negatively. Ears, we don't do just sensational media, gossip, that will also drag us down. Tongue, belly, genitals, jiva, udara, upastha. We sing in Mahaprasade Govinda shortly, right? We are going to sing. So we engage eating as a nourishment, not just binge eating. I'm nourishing this body so I can do something productive with this body. So that we don't become lethargic or eat and go to sleep. Not like lowered restraint, but something where we rise. And then the mind, no overthinking, no rumination, we touched upon that. And then time. Try to, maybe that's something you can adjust. Sleep 1 hour early and wake up 1 hour early. Then money, impulse buying, don't invest in that. Impulse buying, produce something that, don't be only a consumer, in other words. So channeling the whole system, it's not just blocking sex. So that's something I have for now. If you have any other comments or questions.
I have a question. Thank you so much for being with us. Sometimes, like people, they are living quite a regulated lifestyle, and it can be difficult to maintain that because of certain influences that are beyond your control.
Such as?
For example, if you're in a position where you're regularly doing seva, which requires you to stay up, sometimes late at night, or managing different people and different tasks, it can be difficult to maintain this regulated lifestyle,
Right.
because the very nature of your work is irregulated.
Spontaneous.
Well, yeah. You have to deal with things which are coming up so spontaneously. So, what would you advise for someone in this situation?
Yeah. Okay, if I understand your question correctly, what if certain circumstances keeps us away from a regulated life that we would like to have?
Yes.
I think the first 50% of the thing is motivation. It's not that you're finding excuses and reasons not to be regulated. Your intention seems to be right. Your motivation seems to be right. See, Krishna is a person. He's not a machine. He sees our intention. Even if our action is wrong, imbalanced, he sees the intention. And then the truth is this. Just day before yesterday, one devotee was saying he was really desiring to chant regularly with devotees. And he was staying far away. And somehow, Krishna provided an opportunity to get a dorm right next to the temple. And he was like, 2 years I've been wanting that. And then Krishna finally gave this chance for me. And then another devotee was sharing, I was always wondering how to apply this particular thing. And then I met this devotee and I learned it. So the point is, if we have the right intention and mood that I want to stay balanced, I want to stay healthy, Krishna will help. It may just be a question of time. What separates you is just the time. And practically what I would say is some things like food, water, like staying hydrated, exercising, you could still fit in. Because see, the point is not, some people become too attached to, I have to wake up at this time, I have to do these things. They become very hard. Those are the people who will have not flexible fingers. If you try to bend your fingers down. So flexibility is a necessary tool or useful tool in Krishna consciousness. So not that we become rigid in our schedule. That's not the goal. The goal is to somehow remember Krishna. The goal is to prioritize chanting. The goal is to stay healthy and use our energies in a productive way. Okay, so there has to be a difference there, so that in that given circumstance, how can you apply that as much as possible? At least, for example, let's say you have to travel a lot, a couple of hours. You could chant, you could put music on, you could plan how to use that hours of transmuting in a productive way. And what else? I don't know the given exact particular circumstance, but in general, this is what I would say. Focus on the motivation, pray to the Lord. Not pray specifically saying, oh, give me another job or give me another opportunity, but asking the Lord, please help me to do your will. I want to be more serious about my discipline. I want to be spiritual, but it's not exactly going according to my plan. And then the third thing I'd say again, to some of you it may relate more, to some of you less. It's not really about what I want. It's also about the Lord puts us in certain circumstances, puts us in a certain country, certain job, certain kind of people, relationship, because He wants us to learn something. So there may be a lesson there for you. Somebody who's too rigid, they go through the circumstance, it's meant to make them relax, be flexible. And someone else, maybe you're supposed to learn something from a particular circumstance. In my case, sometimes when I'm traveling, I also go mad because I can't schedule things. And then I feel more grateful for the circumstance I actually have. Like Krishna wants me to be, not take it for granted. Like when I come to the West, I see that there's not that much of a competition to do deity seva or book distribution, or in Mayapur there's a huge competition to wash Panchatattva spots. There's politics. And just to make garlands, you're like, oh, can I make once a week at least? No, we have already the department who makes the Radharani hand one, because I also serve in the garland department, and there's so much competition. So when I come to the West and I see the temples, I actually realize what a fortune we have. The devotees are super eager and even competitive there. Because there I feel like why they have to be so whatever. But when I come to the West, I see it. So why does Krishna put me to that circumstance? Because He wants me to learn something. I tell that to devotees, but it seems again, because I think in the West, the vibration itself is harder to keep up Sattva Guna. When you go into the Dham, there's more the push. There's like a special push. So that means even we need more association of devotees. So I would just say, be patient, be clear about your intentions. Remember, it's not about you, it's about Krishna. Krishna may be appreciating the lessons you're learning. And I wish you all the best. Okay, anything else?
Sometimes it's difficult when nobody understands that the morning is the most important. Sometimes we are doing accent to the evening programs more, and if our program, like, okay, yesterday it was like some исключение.
Balram.
Exception. Sometimes yesterday it was some exception. And then, of course, we have to wake up late. But usually, if we see our life, we like more concentrated, not on sadhana, and we are not successful. I always tell to devotees, when we see why we have this Hare Krishna explosion, it's just because everyone was following Mangalarati. There was no devotees who not following Mangalarati, and they was successful. And then they're singing outside many hours, and then Krishna gives this success to movement. And nowadays we are, for example, I tell about myself, I wake up 7 o'clock, I feel like whole day I lose all my day. And then the consciousness is not proper, everything is wrong. And it's difficult when, you said in this Western society to develop these things, but how we can do this next step, that to develop the understanding that is important between us, that we all understand that the Brahma Muhurta time is something brilliant, that the chanting in this time is most successful chanting. We can more connect to the Krishna in that time. And it is difficult because somebody do not understand, and we need, I don't know how to behave in this situation.
Thank you. So if I understand your question correctly, you're saying, given the culture around of late programs and late things, how to emphasize the importance of Brahma Muhurta, how to take advantage of the morning, because sometimes it feels difficult personally and to promote that culture. I think that's the Brihad The answer is, there are so many angles to it. first of all, how many hours of sleep does this body need? Because like I said, some 6 is enough, some 7. How many of you, while you were students, would wake up early and study? Early morning study, yeah. I mean, yeah, that's the culture, right? When we study early in the morning, it sticks stronger. When we study at night, the energy is up, everybody's moving around. It's harder to keep the memory. Early in the morning, Brahma Muhurta, the grasping capacity is more. We know that in theory. And it was possible. When we were studying, it was possible. Now maybe we already got the job and we don't need to wake up anymore. I don't need to learn anything anymore. I only need my salary to run the show. It's about importance. I remember waking up 3 o'clock in the morning to study when I valued it. So it's all about valuing. If we value it, it's possible. Anything is possible. And the second thing is supplements, nutrition. Sometimes as Indian cuisine is not always the most helpful. Puris and parathas and things with ghee and fried and sweets, and it doesn't necessarily help our body to stay on, stay alert. So that may be something you want to consider as well. And then taking because as vegetarians, our body also needs a little bit extra care. B12, for instance, we usually are low on that. I need to stay ourselves, keep up on that, staying hydrated. So whatever is possible, we do it, and to try to reduce, but not artificially reduce sleeping hours, but try to do that. And some other times, because there's also the scientific whole thing, right? I forget the word for it. Like during the 10 p.m. and 2 p.m. is when the brain gets a specific chemical that it needs. What was that? You were saying that in the morning?
I don't know.
Not the
Melatonin?
Melatonin, thank you, melatonin. Some people I don't recommend that, but they even take supplement of that so they can sleep less and function more. But the point is, there are certain hours in the night that the brain produces melatonin that's necessary for proper functioning. So we have to consider so many things: your physical diet, your supplement situation, your physical exercise. Even physical exercise also brings us, more balance. And what else can we say? We can, wherever in the world we are, we turn on Mangalarati of that place online. We kind of get into that mood, even if we are still getting ready. Turn on the Mangalarati. Certain habits, and like we do in our groups, we call each other. Hello, good morning, Hare Krishna, are you up? So checking buddies, checking on that. So it has to be balanced. If you're waking up at 7, it may be unrealistic to expect yourself to wake up at 4. But make a realistic goal and say, okay, wake up at 6. And maybe sleep 10 minutes less. I tried that as well. Because sometimes I tried 2 hours and it didn't work. The brain... Like 10 minutes, 15 minutes, I'll wake up early. I'll go to sleep 15 minutes early from tomorrow. Yeah? Yeah.
That is a good point you said. It is a question of value. And for example, for me, value was, I just joined the Mangalarati once, and I came and I saw, wow, it is such a beautiful atmosphere, yeah? And then, like, I did it a few times. It was difficult at the beginning, and then I got it. Whole day was like I was happy, the mind was in proper condition, and everything was good in my life. And then I think, wow, it is what I didn't know before. And it's like, but if there is no opportunity to get this value,
experience,
where to get this experience? I mean, you do understand?
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
if there is no Mangalarati, for example, how we can have this?
Experience, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I feel the same. When I wake up early and finish my rounds, I feel like I have so many hours free. There's no really change. It's the same hours, the same day. But when I'm done with my job, it feels like the day opened up, the time expanded. You have that experience? It feels like, oh wow, I have all the rest of the day, because the brain just kind of reset itself and it's in the power mode, productive mode. So I would say one step at a time, take one thing at a time. The most powerful remedy is ask Jagannath to help you. Ask Gaurnitai to help you. But it has to be equal, right? Like my effort and Krishna's help. Not only praying, I saw one video of a person saying, I want to study hard, I want to become rich, and then the person keeps scrolling all day and then goes to sleep, like wake up in the morning, I want to become rich, I want to study well, and then do the same habits. That doesn't work. And then I'll do it without the mood of prayer that this is to please the Lord. My dear Lord, I would like to use my time very durlabam manusham janmam. After so many lifetimes, sadapya droham arthadam, let me use this lifetime for you. In that mood, right? Yesukayangala kaledu 84 laksha jeeva rashiyannu dati banda ee sharira tanalla tannadalla asekharavalla munde bahodalla dasanagu visheshanagu bhavapasha nigu. Because 84 lakhs species of life I have crossed over to finally get this human body. Finally. Manusham Janmam, right? So wow. And then we can't lose it. But without the mercy of the Lord, we cannot utilize it. So we go and ask, please help me to use this lifetime in your service. May your will and not mine be done. Then in that mood, we will always advance. I hope that helps. Yes. I don't know, somebody needs to tell me when to stop, so maybe she wants the mic.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Thank you for this wow lecture. Thank you very much. And maybe my question is not so related to what you were talking about. Maybe still it is. So I wanted to know how Krishna is showing you that you please stop with this seva, because kind of your motivation is not the right one. Because I feel like I have a seva that I'm kind of attached to, but I feel like and then something happens. And then I think, this is a sign Krishna doesn't want me to go on because my motivation is not correct.
You mean motivation to do it is not correct, or?
Yeah.
Okay. Or it may be a test.
Yeah, kind of. He gives me the chance to do this seva with the right motivation, but then he feels like, nah, the lesson's not really been digested.
Okay. One thing I remember is that in the case of, let's say, examples, Putana, her intention was very wrong. I mean, this is an extreme example, but just to bring it to her intention was to kill Krishna. She smeared her breast with poison and she approached Krishna, but her action, I want to feed Krishna. She's beautiful, dressed like a maiden angel, and she wanted to feed Krishna, right? So in that case, the Acharyas described Putana's action was right. She wanted to feed Krishna. But her intention was very wrong. So what did Krishna do? He accepted her intention, he accepted her action and forgave her intention. And he gave her a position of nurse in the spiritual world. Very, very bold. If I was a judge, I would never do that. That's why Krishna is God and not me. And then in case of Vidura's wife, Vidurani was so excited that Krishna was coming home. So she was peeling bananas, and what did she do? She threw away the banana and she gave banana peels to Krishna. Her action was very wrong. I mean, who would give a banana peel to the Lord? But her intention was pure. Her intention was she was wanting to please Krishna. So what did Krishna do? He accepted her intention and forgave her action. So if you're looking at how would Krishna see my service being not so motivated or in the right way, this is what the Acharyas say. That Krishna has the ability to forgive your motivation if it's wrong and accept your action if the action is right. And so I don't want you to, justify just because your motivation is right, you should give up the service. That's kind of my intuitive answer to this situation. But again, I don't know exactly the details, and If that service may be harming somebody in some way, I don't know again. But general answer is Krishna sees things differently. When Prithu Maharaj and Indra fight their life out, who's going to get the position? Prithu is very righteous. He's doing his dharma. Indra comes and steals his horse. And we expect Krishna will finally come, punish Indra, give Prithu Maharaj what he deserves. But Krishna does something opposite. He says, let Indra have it. Stop the 100 sacrifice. My mind was like, come on. Like, why? Well, because that's why I'm not the judge and he is. So Krishna's intentions are always different. So don't judge yourself too harshly. If that helps.
Thank you very much. I'm very astonished what happened right now, because yesterday I left the festival because I was not feeling so good, but then I listened to lectures, Balaram and so, and in the evening I was thinking about the upcoming festivals and I got thinking about Putana and so how I was like, maybe I could at some point play Putana, the first example you gave is about Putana. Well, this is really for me very valuable that Krishna sent me this.
Some sign, no?
Yeah.
Yeah, Krishna is okay even with that. Okay, any other comments, any other reflections? I think, the secret is association. Associating with those that we want to be like and cultivate the habits. Alone we can't. You don't have to, actually. You don't have to. Okay, we can end here. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki
Jai.
Srila Prabhupada ki
Jai.
Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki Nitai Gaur Premanande.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Mataji, for the wonderful class. I think it was very helpful and useful for all the devotees here. Now we will have